Guess who's back? Bubba G. And Bubba G is teaching Bible basics for all those who want to know, but especially those 10 and under, because you must learn. In the last videos, we was talking about Samson. Yes, Samson, one of the judges. Remember? We were talking about God's leaders. Yes, God raised up judges to rule over the people of Israel. Now, in this video, we're going to talk about Ruth. Bubba G, who was Ruth? Well, Ruth was a woman who had uncommon loyalty. What does that mean? That means she was faithful. So this is a lesson about a faithful woman. Yes. So we're going to be in the book of Ruth. So grab your Bibles, Let me know when you're ready. You ready? Okay. So we're going to start with verse 1. Long ago, in the days before Israel had a king, there was a famine in the land. So a man named Elimelech, who belonged to the clan of Ephrath, and who lived in Bethlehem in Judah, went with his wife Naomi and their 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, to live for a while in the country of Moab. Remember Moab? Yes. While they were living there, Elimelech died, and Naomi was left alone with her 2 sons. So her husband died, and she had 2 sons with her, who married Moabite women. So her 2 sons, they went to Moab, and they married 2 women, Orpah and Ruth. So Ruth is one of the women that this lady's sons married, but she was a Moabite. That means she wasn't an Israelite. But she married she married Ruth, another lady, Orpah, married 2 Israelites. About 10 years later, Mahlon and Chilion also died. So now we see the 2 sons died. And Naomi was left all alone without husband or sons. Verse 6. Sometime later, Naomi heard that the Lord had blessed his people by giving them good crops. So she got ready to leave Moab with her 2 daughters-in-law. They started out together to go back to Judah. So now they want to go back. They said, the Lord has blessed the land of Judah. Let's go back. Remember, there was a famine, so they went to Moab. Now they heard famine is over. Okay, so she got ready to leave Moab with her 2 daughters-in-law. They started out together to go back to Judah. But on the way, she said to them, go back home and stay with your mothers. May the Lord be as good to you as you have been to me and to those who have died. Verse 9, and may the Lord make it possible for each of you to marry again and have a home. So Naomi kissed them goodbye, but they started crying and said to her, no, we will go with you to your people. You must go back, my daughters, Naomi answered. Why do you want to come with me? Do you think I could have sons again for you to marry? Go back home, for I am too old to get married again, even if I thought there was still hope. And so go get married tonight and hold on, let me go back. Even if I thought there was still hope, and so got married tonight and had sons, would you wait until they had grown up? Would this keep you from marrying someone else? No, my daughters, you know that's impossible. The Lord has turned against me, and I feel very sorry for you. Again, they started crying. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye and went back home. So Orpah went back. But Ruth held on to her. So Naomi said to her, Ruth, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her God. Go back home with her. But Ruth answered, don't ask me to leave you. Let me go with you. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Yes. Wherever you die, I will die, and that is where I will be buried. May the Lord's worst punishment come upon me if I let anything but death separate me from you. Verse 18. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she said nothing more. They went on until they came to Bethlehem. Then they arrived. When they arrived, the whole town became excited, and the woman there exclaimed, is this really Naomi? Don't call me Naomi, she answered. Call me Mara, because Almighty God has made my life bitter. When I left here, I had plenty, but the Lord has brought me back without a thing. Why call me Naomi when the Lord Almighty has condemned me and sent me trouble? This, then, was how Naomi came back from Moab with Ruth, her Moabite daughter-in-law. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the barley harvest was just beginning. Chapter 2. Naomi had a relative named Boaz, a rich man, an influential man who belonged to the family of her husband Elimelech. One day Ruth said to Naomi, let me go to the fields to gather the grain that the harvest workers leave. I am sure to find someone who will let me work with him. Naomi answered, go ahead, daughter. So Ruth went out to the fields and walked behind the workers, picking up the heads of grain which they left. It so happened that she was in a field that belonged to Boaz. Sometime later, Boaz himself arrived from Bethlehem and greeted the workers. The Lord be with you, he said. The Lord bless you, they answered. Boaz asked the man in charge, who is that young woman? The man answered, she is the foreigner who came back from Moab with Naomi. She asked me to let her follow the workers and gather grain. She has been working since early morning and has just now stopped to rest for a while under the shelter. Then Boaz said to Ruth, let me give you some advice. Don't gather grain anywhere except in this field. Work with the women here. Watch them to see where they are reaping and stay with them. So you see, Boaz is telling Ruth, stay in my field. See, Boaz was, remember, he was a rich and influential man. So he is telling Ruth, stay here. Okay, now what are we going to read? Chapter 3. Sometime later, Naomi said to Ruth, I must find a husband for you, so that you will have a home of your own. Remember that this man Boaz, whose women had been working with, let me back up. Chapter 3. Sometime later, Naomi said to Ruth, I must find a husband for you, so that you will have a home of your own. Remember that this man Boaz, whose women you have been working with, is our relative. Now listen, this evening he will be threshing the barley, so wash yourself, put on some perfume, and get dressed in your best clothes. Then go where he is threshing, but don't let him know you are there until he has finished eating and drinking. Be sure to notice where he lies down, and after he falls asleep, go and lift the covers and lie down at his feet. He will tell you what to do. Ruth answered, I will do anything you say. So now we see Naomi telling Ruth, get in close to Boaz, because Boaz is a good man. He's one of our relatives. So now, chapter 4. Boaz went to the meeting place at the town gate and sat there. Then Elimelech's nearest relative, the man whom Boaz had mentioned, came by, and Boaz called to him, "Come over here, my friend, and sit down." So he went over and sat down. Then Boaz got 10 of the leaders of the town and asked them to sit down there too. When they were seated, he said to his relatives, "Now that Naomi has come back from Moab, she wants to sell the field that belonged to our relative Elimelech, and I think you ought to know about it. Now then, if you want it, buy it in the presence of these men sitting here. But if you don't want it, say so, because the right to buy it belongs first to you and then to me." So there is a man who wants to get this field, and Boaz is giving him the opportunity. But he says, "If you don't want it, I'm going to get it." Boaz said, "Very well. If you buy the field from Naomi, then you are also buying Ruth, the Moabite widow, so that the field will stay in the dead man's family." The man answered, "In that case, I will give up my right to buy the field, because it would mean that my own children will not inherit it. You buy it. I would rather not." So, let's go to verse 13. So Boaz took Ruth home as his wife. The Lord blessed her, and she became pregnant and had a son. So Boaz marries Ruth. The man didn't want her, so Boaz got her. So Boaz took Ruth home as his wife. The Lord blessed her, and she became pregnant and had a son. And she became pregnant and had a son. The women said to Naomi, "Praise the Lord. He has given you a grandson today to take care of you. May the boy become famous in Israel. Your daughter-in-law loves you and has done more for you than 7 sons. And now she has given you a grandson. Who will bring new life to you and give you security in your old age." Naomi took the child, held him close, and took care of him. The women of the neighborhood named the boy Obed. They told everyone, "A son has been born to Naomi." Obed became the father of Jesse, who was the father of David. This is the family line from Perez to David. Perez, Hezron, Ram, Aminadab, Nahshon, Salem, Boaz, Obed, Jesse, and David. So what do we see here? We see Ruth was faithful to Naomi. She would not leave her. So Naomi went back home. Ruth came with her. Then Ruth was in the field. They said, "This is Boaz's field. Why don't you stay in this field? Because this man is rich and influential." Then Boaz notices her. Then he starts leaving grain for her. Then he ends up marrying her. And Ruth gives Naomi another grandson. Or a grandson. Let me stop. It was a grandson. Gave Naomi a grandson. Because she was faithful, she got blessed.